So once we got those done, everything's firing, everybody's feeling good. We had our heart rates up for a couple minutes, but we come back down and now we can focus on our strength supersets. So again, for those of you that are unfamiliar, a superset is 2 exercises, complementary exercises, so similar muscle groups, similar movement patterns that are done back to back with as little rest in between as possible. This is going to help us build some muscular endurance, and the way we're going to put them together, we're going to build some strength and then challenge those muscles for a longer period of time on the second exercise. So we have our deadlifts to get started. You can use the trap bar or those kettlebells. Again, just like in the first video, I talked about the chin-ups in workout A. The deadlift is another exercise where I would rather you err on the side of going a little bit lighter and perfecting your form as opposed to heavier to make it harder. Now, if you're moving well and you want to try heavier weight, that's great. I want you to challenge yourself with the weight. But if you're someone who just thinks you should go heavier, you want it to feel harder, if your form is not great on the deadlift, there's some things that can go wrong there. I want to protect your lower back as we're working these. So err on the side of a little bit lighter, not too light. You don't want to make it light. You don't want it to be easy. I want you to walk away thinking every single rep was a good rep and I never felt that there was any doubt that I was going to get one. So challenge yourself here, driving through those hips, chest up, shoulders down and away from those ears. When you get those lats engaged, you can see Coach Matt, those shoulders are down and away. They're not moving on him. That's going to make you more rigid through your torso. I know people don't like to do the grunt. You better do it quietly then, because you need to get those abs engaged here. Matt's doing a great job on these. Nice flat back. Notice also how his shoulders are coming up and his hips are moving forward at the same time. It's not that his chest comes up first and then his hips, or his hips then his back. They're moving together, which means all those muscles are working together here, which takes more work or takes strain off of that lower back as you're working here. So great job on those, Coach Matt. If you want to use the kettlebells, obviously you're welcome to use those. You can do the single kettlebell here. Coach T here, same thing. Notice how shoulders down and away. As she starts to drive up, hips and shoulders are moving at the same time here, nice and controlled. That kettlebell is between her feet. A lot of people start to get that kettlebell in front of their toes. We want that kettlebell like right in the center, matched up with our center of gravity, so that the closer you keep that kettlebell to your center and between those feet, the less strain on that lower back as well. You can also go to the double kettlebell deadlift when you need a heavier weight. For most people, by the time that they're strong enough for like a double heavy kettlebell, or around that 40 to 50 per 40 to 50 pound kettlebells, you're also probably ready for the trap bar if you choose to. I also like to use the double kettlebells from time to time, but as you start to go heavier with those kettlebells, they keep getting bigger and you're running out of space. The trap bar allows us to hold heavier weight without having to go super wide with our feet. But again, it's what you're comfortable with. And if you haven't done the trap bar before and you feel like you're up for it, let the coach know so that we can show you first and help you as you're working this one. Spent a lot of time on that. We're only doing 5 reps though. Second exercise, so as soon as you get your 5 deadlifts done, we're moving over to the sled for our crossover drag. So you can see Coach Cat here leaning away from the sled, crossing that leg over, driving through that foot, keeping that shoulder down and away from here, which means we need the lat engaged here. Again, I think Coach Matt loves this exercise. He also likes the combinations that we do with some of these, like that half kneeling alternating row, the sled squat rows, about getting those lats and back muscles firing, so that when you're in this position, I want you feeling very rigid through your torso so that you can drive with those legs here. So remember, as you're doing this, we're gonna go down and back. You're facing the same direction both times. So if you're facing the north wall on the way down, you're gonna face the north wall on the way back. If you don't know what north wall is, the coach will tell you as well. All you gotta remember is whatever you've been looking at on the way down, you're gonna keep looking at that same wall on the way back. That way we work both sides. This is also an exercise where you're not gonna be able to go as heavy as a typical sled push and drag, because the muscles aren't gonna be working together the way they do on those other ones. We're working more lateral movement here, so different muscles that we'll be working. I do want you to challenge yourself with the weight though, so don't be afraid to take that weight up if you feel like you can move a little bit heavier. You'll also know if it's too heavy if you have to stop as you're moving down the floor. If it's getting so heavy that you can't make it all the way down, it's a little too heavy, let's make it a little bit lighter. And when you do it well, you'll be able to get to that heavier weight sooner than if you keep just trying to force it and not do it as well as you can. So again, intentional reps here. So we're gonna hit 2 to 3 sets of those, and we're gonna alternate with our dumbbell bench press and our landmine half kneeling overhead presses for our second superset. So as we're working that this month, we're gonna work that flat bench press here, both hands at the same time, just like we did on the incline. Wall up those abs. Notice how those dumbbells are coming down next to my chest, underneath my armpits, not over my shoulders and over my face here. I don't rotate my hands as much as some other people do. You can see there's a little bit of rotation. What I'm focusing on though is my wrists staying over my elbows. That is gonna allow you to really press that weight with the most strength. If your elbows flare out as you're pressing, you now have to straighten them out as you start to press. Makes you weaker as you're pressing. So this is where the coaches are gonna try to help you as well. Take your time, think squeeze, pull those dumbbells down with intention, press them back up, push your back into the floor, wall up those, or into the bench, wall up those abs, drive those feet into the floor. Big deep breath in the way down. Push that air out as you press those dumbbells up here. And then when you're done, obviously you can either sit up with them or uncurl them down to the floor here. We're going for 5 heavy reps. Now I will say, in theory, this 5 rep weight should be heavier than what you were doing for 5 reps on the incline bench, but that 5 rep weight on that incline bench, especially in week 1, maybe a little bit lighter, is a great place to start to find out how it's working. Remember, in week 1, we're learning the routine, and we're gonna learn what weights work for us. Weeks 2 and 3, we build, get a little bit better, maybe add some more weight, add some, get a second or third set in. Week 4 is where we're gonna really try to challenge ourselves to get the most out of it. So make sure you're looking for weights that really do make it tough. Once you get done with your 5 reps on the bench, we're gonna go over to the landmine bar and work our half kneeling overhead press here. So squeezing that back glute, wall up those abs. Again, very similar position to we were in for that half kneeling alternating row here. Glute squeeze nice and tight. Also notice how the position is very important here. You wanna get under the bar. My hand is over my shoulder, just in front of it, but over the shoulder top, not down in front of my chest. Squeeze that back glute, pressing up. Notice at the end, I'm not trying to rotate, I'm trying to reach as far as I can at the end, so I really get that work in. This exercise, again, after you've come off the bench, these muscles, some of these muscles have already been working, so this exercise is gonna be a little bit lighter than maybe what you're used to for like a 5-10 rep weight, or excuse me, a heavy 10 rep weight. But 10 reps, good number of reps. So what you're gonna feel is when you get to 8, maybe 7, but 8, 9, 10, that's where you should really start to feel like these muscles are burning, and I just gotta get this last rep in. We still want quality reps though, so you'll do 5 on the bench, and then 10 half kneeling presses on each arm. You're also going to be pressing with the same arm as the knee on the floor. That really helps us get that glute squeeze, get a nice drive through there, drive that front big toe into the floor here. 5 and 10. We're going to get at least 2 sets in the first week. Weeks 2, 3, and 4, as you're getting more familiar, getting more comfortable, you should be able to get a 3rd set in. But also day to day, it's going to depend on how you're feeling there, but we'll get at least 2 great sets in.